Let's take a look at composition of functions in a little bit more detail. First off, the outermost function, or this function, is what we're going to evaluate, and the innermost function, or the function closest to the variable, is what we're going to fill in. So we're going to start with our f function. Only the key is everywhere I see a variable, or in this case a letter x, remember though it doesn't have to be a letter x, it can be a different variable, I'm going to fill in the entire blue function of g of x. So I'm just going to start writing my function out, and I run into a variable, negative x squared. So I'm going to put my entire function in where I see the letter x. And it may help to put it in parentheses just for ease of use. I see plus 2. Oh, there's another variable, another letter x. So I'm going to fill in the entire function and then the plus 5. Now I need to simplify this function. We filled it in, but we need to simplify it out and evaluate it. So working from left to right, I have my negative sign, my 3x plus 4 squared. Well, we have a root and we have a squared, and those are opposites. So they undo each other, getting rid of the root. Square root and squareds are opposite. Next, I can distribute the 2. Remember though, the 2 just hangs out in front of the radical. It doesn't go inside, it just hangs out in front. And then I have the plus 5 at the end. Lastly, I can simplify a little bit more by distributing that negative sign with both terms in the parentheses. Keep my middle term, nothing else is happening exciting there, and my end term. Lastly, I know that there's 2 common variables here, 2 common terms. I have a negative 4 and a positive 5. Those are both simply numbers, so they can be combined together. Negative 4 plus 5 is a positive 1. Now I have my 3x, and then I have my 2 root 3x plus 4. I cannot combine the radical. Let me get the x in there. I cannot combine the 3x with this 3x. They're not alike. One is stuck under a radical. One is free outside the radical. And so they cannot be combined. They're just going to leave it just like that. Now, some people like to reorder the terms in terms of putting some first and some second. That's fine if you want to reorder them, but it is not required. Now let's look at our next section. We have g of f of x, keeping in mind that the one that is closest to the variable is what we're going to fill in to our primary or outside function. So I'm going to start by writing my function g of x down, and where I hit a variable, I'm going to fill in I'll leave myself a lot of room here. I'm going to fill in that entire trinomial. Also underneath the radical, I have plus 4. Now I can simplify by sharing that 3 out inside, out in front of the parentheses, again with every single term inside. So I have 3 times 2 is 6. And 3 times 5 is 15. And lastly, only thing I can do to simplify this farther is to combine those 2 common variable values at the end. They're like terms, they're just plain numbers, no variables. And 15 plus 4 is 19. So now I have a trinomial underneath the radical that is in simplest form.